And we begin tonight with a heartbreaking report into the shooting death of an off-duty Vancouver police officer by a sheriff's deputy. Details including drone video that may help shed light on what went wrong. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Molko. And you may recall that the Clark County Sheriff's deputy involved in January said he believed he was shooting a robbery suspect on the run. Instead, he shot and killed Officer Donald Sahota just steps from his own front door. Let's bring in our Tim Gordon, who's been poring over the full report here. Tim, just out. What have you found?
Well, David, there is video, there is police radio traffic, and there is even audio from the deputy's interview after he shot a fellow law enforcement officer. This is really tough stuff, and a warning that the subject matter may be not appropriate for all viewers, but we're showing it to better understand how a chaotic situation ended so horribly.
We start with a picture of Vancouver police officer Donald Sahota to remember who was lost in a tragic case of mistaken identity. It was January 29th that officers from several agencies chased a robbery suspect who took off from a Vancouver gas station. That pursuit ended up in Battleground, where both the police airplane and drone watched as 20-year-old Julio Segura made his way on foot to a home off the road in the woods. It was the home of the off-duty officer who saw Segura in the driveway.
My husband has the door open. He's a police officer and he is armed.
That is the voice of Donald Sahota's wife on the phone with 911. The report confirms Sahota had his sidearm, but investigators say Segura had a knife. When the off-duty officer tried to detain Segura, you see a struggle.
He's in a fight with him right now.
Okay, just give me an update.
Oh, hang on. I gotta call my...
They're moving in now, okay?
In mere seconds, and as officers were arriving on the scene, the situation went from bad to worse. Sahota is stabbed and drops his gun. Segura bolts for the front door, and Sahota goes after him.
We got out of the gun right there, I think. You just picked it up.
We are freezing the video here, just 4 seconds after Clark County Deputy John Feller opened the door of his SUV, aimed his rifle, and fired 4 rounds at the man he thought was a dangerous suspect. This is Deputy Feller's tearful account of that moment as he spoke to investigators several days later.
So I believed that if that person got in that house, they would kill them. And I had to stop that person from getting in and hurting those innocent people.
There's more that's so hard to hear and see. This report will be reviewed by outside prosecutors to determine if the shooting was justified. But at this point, Deputy Feller does not face any charges. Donald Sahota is survived by his wife and 2 children. David?
Such a tragedy. Thanks, Tim, for your report on that. Let's give you an update now on the man shot and killed by law enforcement at a towing company in Scappoose. Police named him today as 39-year-old Michael Stockton, wanted, they say, for murder. Investigators accuse Stockton of fatally shooting a man at a storage facility in Gresham on Sunday. Let's get back to yesterday. Officers say they were originally called about some kind of disturbance. They say Stockton shot at them when they arrived, so they fired back, killing him. Well, opening statements are set for Monday in the murder trial of a local romance novelist accused of killing her husband. Prosecutors say back in 2018, Nancy Crampton Brophy shot her husband of 26 years, Daniel Brophy, a chef at the Oregon Culinary Institute. Authorities say Daniel suffered gunshot wounds both to his back and chest. And adding to the intrigue here, Nancy's literary history, having written novels with titles like The Wrong Lover and The Wrong Husband. She also penned an essay called How to Murder Your Husband for a blog. Brophy pleaded not guilty to all the charges. Okay, we want to bring you an update now on recent gun violence in the city of Portland because the family of a man fatally shot earlier this month is now asking for help and for answers. His name is Zach Harris. He was a father of 2, and his family says though he was living on the streets, he was just starting to turn his life around. Our Mike Benner talked to Harris's family today. And Mike, what else did they share with you?
Well, David, they shared with me that they wished this investigation was moving along a little faster than it is. They're worried this case could go cold, and that's the last thing they want. The shooting that ultimately took Zach Harris's life happened back on March 16th. Officers responded to reports of gunfire under Northeast Cesar Chavez near Halsey, and they found Harris suffering from a gunshot wound. Paramedics rushed Harris to the hospital where he died about a week later. Family says Harris had been living on the streets for about a year, but he was just starting to turn his life around. We're told Harris leaves behind an 8-year-old daughter and 12-year-old son, not to mention a sister and dad who will miss him immensely.
Made the best out of every situation.
Yeah, he was always smiling, no matter what. It could be the worst of times, and he's smiling. Maybe defense mechanism or something. I don't know. Just all around good guy. Like to help.
Harris's family is asking anyone with information about his killing to reach out to the Portland Police Bureau. And remember, you can do so anonymously. David.
Mike Benner. Thanks, Mike.
Billy was such an inspiration to anyone that got the opportunity to meet her.
Well, the family of a woman who died at sea wants people to remember her life. Billie Jo Hooten was on a boat over the weekend off the coast of Florence when it went down. Now, her body was recovered, but the boat's captain is still missing. Let's bring in our Christelle Kumwe. Christelle, you connected with Hooten's family. She was a crew member and a very well-known and much-loved member of the fishing community.
Yes, David, I talked with Billie Jo's sisters who describe her as a beloved mom, sister, and friend. They also say she was selfless and loved the water.
Billie Jo was my little sister, the middle sister. I'm the baby.
Molly Gower and Brandy Christner remember their sister, Billie Jo Hooten, as an inspiration.
You don't hear of a lot of women doing what she did, and she did it, and she did it good.
Billie was a mother, sister, aunt, friend, and made a living fishing.
And she was so proud that she could be a strong fisherwoman. She didn't know at first if she was going to be able to handle it, but she did.
Last Friday, Billie left to fish for salmon with boat captain Mike Morgan. The Coast Guard got a Mayday call around midnight Friday into Saturday morning, about 30 miles west of Florence. 68-year-old Morgan said his boat was sinking with him and another worker on board. A rescue boat was sent out, finding debris in the water and the worker unresponsive. 39-year-old Billie Hooten was later pronounced dead.
My whole world came to a halt.
Crews continued to look for the captain for more than 24 hours, but the search effort was called off.
Sadly, we usually don't make it through a year without a tragedy.
Tonette Dixon is with the Newport Fishermen's Wives, a nonprofit providing resources and support to families of fishermen.
It is actually the most dangerous profession, especially during our Dungeness crab season.
The group worked with the city of Newport to bring this fisherman's memorial sanctuary at Laquina Bay State Park more than 20 years ago. It's open to the public 24/7 to pay their respects to the hundreds lost at sea.
Mike and Billie's names will be engraved in there.
She truly wore her heart on her sleeve and did anything and everything for all those around her.
Billie Jo will continue to inspire her sisters who remember all the joy she brought to their lives.
Never go a day without telling the people I love that I love them and how much they mean to me, because that's what she did anytime she saw anybody she loved.
Billie Jo Hooten is survived by her 16-year-old daughter and many friends and family. Her sisters created a GoFundMe to help with a memorial service. We'll have all that information on our website at kgw.com.
And she will be missed. Thank you, Christelle. To the war in Ukraine, where mass evacuation efforts in the besieged city of Mariupol have stalled. Humanitarian workers say they were unable to get through today, hoping to free trapped civilians. They are blaming a Russian blockade. Just 3,000 people were able to get out, and this comes as peace talks between Russia and Ukraine resumed today by video. Russia is also now accusing Ukrainian helicopters of striking an oil depot in Russia. If true, it would become the first Ukrainian attack on Russian soil during the war. Now, footage verified by NBC did show a large fire at the depot, but NBC couldn't independently verify who or what is responsible, so Ukraine denied it was behind that strike. Well, that humanitarian crisis in Ukraine, 4 million refugees and counting, has prompted people around the world to take action. We have been sharing those uplifting stories over the past month, all at kgw.com/Ukraine. And today, John Goodwin shows us how middle school students in Portland are doing what they can to help.
Morning, 8th grade.
Morning, At St. Clair School in Southwest Portland, students are ready to learn.
Service is at the core of who we are as a Catholic school.
In Kathy Collar's middle school social studies class, there's a lot to unpack.
I can tell you've talked at your homes and really thought about this.
Everywhere Mrs. Collars looks, she sees potential.
When you can connect with them like today, they were on fire.
Thursday was Sunflower Day at St. Clair. Not a signal of summer, but something more.
Sunflowers are the flower of Ukraine, and sunflowers are symbolic of our patron, St. Clair. The Soviet Union was made up of 15 republics.
A tense topic made way for the school student council to step up.
We were in charge of setting up Sunflower Day and getting it all organized.
8th grader Hadley Falcon is on the council.
A small group of people or just like a single person can make a difference.
Students were invited to write a prayer of reflection for Ukraine, some dressing in blue and yellow. Thursday afternoon, they gathered for a prayer service.
And we also suggested a modest donation that we would give to Catholic Relief Services, which is on the ground helping people in Ukraine and refugees from Ukraine.
They've raised over $2,000. The real lesson is within the lesson.
But much more important is to teach children compassion, empathy, and a feeling that we are not helpless.
If you sat in with these 8th and 6th graders, they learned about the invasion, but there was a theme.
Your second question is, what gives you hope?
We're the next generation, so we're the next people to help. So I think learning this now will help us in the future.
Planting perspective and growing compassion.
Hope for the future doesn't mean there won't still be hurdles and even sadness, but I am a history teacher, and I see that after strife comes renewal. And I am a Christian, and I see that there is always resurrection, and that's what we live for.
In Southwest Portland,
Have a good morning.
John Goodwin, KGW News.